So today I'm gonna be tying my version of a slumpbuster. Super easy sculpin pattern. I just throw a little bit of extra red flash in there. A lot of things you can do to it to make it better, make it more of a bait fishy color, black, natural, red. Fish is really, really good here in Eastern Washington. Alrighty, so to start things off, I have a 3X long size 6 hook with a large cone on it and about a dozen wraps of 030 lead. I want this thing to get down without too much extra weight added to it. I'm gonna be using some 140 denier ultra thread. I'm gonna start this behind the lead wire here and just build a little dam to make sure that that wire doesn't slide around anywhere. Once you have that dam in place, you can go in and cut your tag end. From there, just gonna secure this lead down with a bunch of wraps. Make sure it's not gonna move at all. You can add a little extra head cement if you want. But then once that's all secured down, we're gonna wrap back towards the end of the hook here. First thing I'm gonna attach, this is some flat diamond braid in copper. You could use black, you could use olive, you could use pearl. Pearl's actually a really good color to use. I'm gonna be using copper today. This is how I tie it for the shop. We're just gonna tie this in off the back here. I'm really not too picky about it being super clean or anything like that. And then after that, we're gonna add our rib. Our rib is just gonna be some size brassie, a little bit of copper wire. I typically go with a color wire to match whatever my braid color is. Right, then once that's in, you're gonna wrap your thread back up. I leave roughly a cone distance, maybe about a half a cone actually, but just leave yourself some space behind the cone so we can add that collar and that red later. First, we're gonna wrap this body up. Just keep it tight, keep it even. Doesn't have to look super pretty. The piece I cut is a little bit short, so hopefully I don't drop it. There we go. And let's secure this in. I do 3 tight wraps on top. Make sure that's not going anywhere. A couple behind, a couple more on top. Good to go, that can be trimmed. Make that nice and clean. All right, then I'm gonna take, this is some olive squirrel zonker. Olive is our most popular color, so that's what I'm going with today, but black fishes really well. I like the natural in copper with the copper cone is one of my favorites as well. But I want this tail to be about the length of the hook shank here. A little bit longer is okay. I kind of like a little bit longer personally. But I'm gonna wet my fingers, pull this hair back, and give myself a couple tight wraps right down on top of that so I know it's not going anywhere. I like to pull it back up, and again, just a couple wraps beneath. But by the time you're done, you want your thread hanging where you did those tight wraps. So now for our rib, we're gonna pin this down, creating our tail and our body. So I'm, again, just wetting my fingers so I can get this hair out of the way and using this wire so I can pin everything in place. And you see, if you wet your fingers, you can get that wire to slide through everything pretty easily. So I start my wrap, and I'll show you again here. Once I go to start my wrap, I push it into the hair. Using my other hands here, I pull the hair out and around the wire so it gets out of the way. Push that wire into the hair, pull the hair towards you so it splits around the wire, back down. So I shoot for around 5-6 wraps, so I know that that's gonna be really secure. And then I'm just tying this wire down. I'm gonna do 3 tight wraps again, right in place, and then a couple wraps on top there, a couple behind, a couple back on top. Being a little excessive, but why not? I don't want this falling apart. Break off your wire. Super easy so far. It's gonna stay easy. All we're gonna do now is create our collar, and I'm just gonna use this tag end that we have right here. And I like, kind of depends on the thickness of the zonker you get. This is kind of your average size. So with this one, I should be able to get about 1.5 wraps. There's a lot of personal preference involved in how many wraps you do with this. I like it a little on the thicker side. Like right there would work, obviously more up into the cone, but a little bit more on this thicker side, imitating that a sculpin with that big head on it, the big pec fin sticking out. I'm gonna do 4 or 5 wraps. There you go. Readjust my hook here. Right on top of that zonker before I cut it. A couple more wraps. Slide in with your scissors. Cut that as close as you can. Fluff everything up. Make sure it's looking good. I'm happy with that. So I could end everything right here, and this is your classic slump buster. You could just do a whip finish, call it good, it'll work. I'm gonna add just a little bit of red to it. You know, you're either imitating some gills or you're imitating like it's injured and it's bleeding. But I just throw a little bit of red flash in there. I just take 1 strand, red flashabou, holographic works as well. Just something red. And I fold that over the thread so it's doubled over. I'm gonna pull that in, get a couple tight wraps down. Using this same bit so I get the most out of 1 strand of flashabou. I've folded it over to the other side. And again, just a couple tight wraps. Make sure I can catch it. There we go. Get my tight wraps down, just a couple. That's all you need. And we're gonna whip finish. Boom. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go in, cut my tag end of this flash off. Try and make it as clean as I can without cutting any hair. And then I have my gills right here. I go to roughly the back of the hook. I just want it longer than my collar. Again, all personal preference. You can move that around if you want. But that's the Injured Slumpbuster. Super, super easy. You can see I have a bit of thread at the top of the cone showing. It's fine, it's still gonna work, right? Fish don't seem to care, but fish this on the swing, nymph it, strip it. I troll it around in lakes and do really well with that. A lot of different ways you can fish this, but overall one of our best flies for Eastern and Central Washington.